Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrity, Brandon. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we're trying to find the best player in Big Brother history. It's a really big bracket because there's a whole lot of players that have played this game from the US, from Canada, celebrities, over the top, even though they try to pretend that doesn't exist anymore. But we saw it. We were there. Anyway, another great guest returning to the podcast today. Before I bring him in, I, of course, am Matt here, as always, with Aman. Aman, what's up?
This reminded me, I accidentally sent you something Big Brother related on TikTok without meaning to. What was it again? Do you remember?
Was it recent?
I think so. It was like, because I don't really use TikTok like that. So sometimes I like accidentally press things I don't mean to press. And it was like, oh, you just sent this to Matt LaGuardia. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. But it was Big Brother related. I was like, thank God it wasn't something like crazy that I sent over to you.
I sent you, I don't know. I'm not even seeing what you sent me, but I sent you the BBOTT fight.
Maybe I. Let's
the
see.
Ball Smashers versus Jamboree full fight.
Yeah,
anyway, let's bring in our guests so we can all discuss this together. Returning to the podcast, my co-host on the Free Agents podcast. He was with us when we kicked off this podcast, this Diary Room podcast, episode 5, I believe, all the way a year ago. It is Brian Scally. Scally, what's up?
Hello. Oh my God, I've been holding my breath till I could get back here. I'm so excited. I have been a faithful listener, listening every episode, complaining a couple of them about different outcomes, just once or twice. I mean, that is the joy of the podcast, though, is it makes me feel something, regardless of if it is super happy or, sometimes frustrated.
Money, you okay?
I'm fine. I just had something about.
Okay. I feel like there was a lot of personal intake of that statement of feeling like when there's issues on the podcast, maybe it has to do with you.
No, never that.
Anyway,
I've yelled at Lagori.
I just get to hear it personally. Yes, when Scally has a specific issue with decision, especially if it's a decision that I made. Before we hop on a recording of the Free Agents podcast. We chat about that stuff. But anyway, so I would love to sit here and watch the BBOTT fight on TikTok, but no, instead, Scally, we have a special project that you're going to help us with today, and that's helping us to continue whittling down this group of Big Brother Canada players. We missed them all. It's been so long since the show's been off the air for a year now, but we got to talk more about them.
Yeah, I'm excited for a BBCAN related project. It's been so long since I feel like I've gotten to talk about so many of them. So I'm excited to revisit them in any way possible.
Yeah. Aman, we have decided as of now, we're trying some stuff out here. That the format of today is going to be, we will have 5 wheel spins that are oops all BB can, and at the end of that, Scally, who if you remember from episode 5, has a full wheel every single season, every single player. The 6th spin of the day will be Scally's full wheel, and anybody could come up, but we do have to get rid of some BB can players, so that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yes, I love that. It's the only bad thing about it is it does kind of feel like, oh no, we're like BBCAN versus BBCAN, virtually means that BBCAN has to go. But then again, that's kind of already been happening with the US as well.
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah,
we've had I think I counted 15 episodes that a guest came on that only had Big Brother US available, and then some more on top of that where only Big Brother US came up because whatever. So we've had that already, so we have to kind of.
I wonder what the number, what the stat is for the number of times that it was Big Brother and Big Brother Canada that came up, and Big Brother Canada managed to make it through over the other. If somebody wants to do that math real quick.
I mean, I'm going to end up being that somebody because
Matt will probably do it. Yeah.
I'm the stats guy. But anyway, so we'll get to that. And again, if you are listening out there, if you're not a BBCAN person, stick around because the last spin could be anybody. But Scally, it has been a year since you were here with us on the podcast. You've had many of decisions that you've watched or listened to that we might have gotten wrong. And I did ask you if you could flag a couple that you think are the most egregious.
Oh, God.
Yes. Now, I will say, in going back through, I found either less than I thought I might, and or was just like, this doesn't need air. Like it's fine. It'll live. We don't need to, relitigate Jessica versus Tucker. That doesn't need to happen, even if it is still wild.
Appreciate that.
but there were some that I feel like, they've been talked about once or twice, or maybe not enough. I feel like one for me is the Joseph Rodriguez versus Angela Murray. I think is gameplay wise not pretty close in this one. I understand the entertainment factor, but I think Joseph was a halfway decent Big Brother player and Angela was actively horrible through most of the game.
So let me reset the board here. Aman, this was with our guest, Taylor Hale. So Scally says Taylor has bad opinions.
This is the only one I've ever.
It was a 3-0 vote. All three of us voted for Angela. October 29th, 2024. This is the first episode that Big Brother 26 was let onto the wheel. Angela Mania was running wild around here, around the whole internet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely fair to say that legacy took over on this one more so, and maybe just a little bit of the fact that like Joseph sort of like once his little footing in the game sort of he lost that a bit. It just kind of kept going down. So like I can definitely see why Angela could have pulled ahead in that regard, but I also like if Joseph were to make it through over Angela, I would not be batting an eye either. So like, I get that. I feel like on any other day, it would probably go the other way for sure.
While I totally understand feeling like Joseph is the better player, and I probably can't disagree with you, in reality, you understand, like it's so hard to send Angela packing so fast, right? It's tough.
The same reason where like, if I'm voting for who I like more, I think Amira versus Felicia goes a very different way than I think I probably would have voted in terms of like, I don't know, Felicia's losing to every single person on that jury in a jury vote. So as much as I like her and she is hilarious, and I think that she did extremely well for her casting archetype, I think, putting up Heisam, a couple other decisions might not have been the best for Felicia there.
That is also fair. Aman, so I'm hoping that maybe by the time this podcast comes out, Aman will have started to do his BB27 catching up. I do believe he'll be a little bit more free at the time this is coming out. But Aman, did you at least hear about Felicia being a part of a competition this season?
No, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
She was in one of like the video, when they're like watching a video and whatever. It was Ready, Set, Whoa, or Ready, Set, Go, whatever that competition is.
Oh wow,
she was
the one that already.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's like usually later in the season.
That was actually the veto that Casey won, which you at least heard about that.
Yes, although I do remember Casey winning something. I didn't know it was that comp though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Felicia made her way back there. I don't know, justifying anything for us, maybe not, but
okay. Well, I'm glad they called her. I'm glad they still have her number. That bodes well.
I don't think Felicia did too well in the battle back vote, Scally. So,
devastating.
Sorry to report. Felicia would have won a battle back vote. So. There's that.
That's okay. I will say goodbye to Amira just as okay with it as I did on BB24.
Exactly.
So
where else?
I was on episode 5, and I love Sharon. I love you both.
Oh, no,
I thought maybe I left the gas open a little bit because that is where Lawan and Raven sneak through over to halfway decent players.
I like how you're letting us like slide with Jessica and Tucker, but going all the way back to Raven and Lawan.
I was like, just one episode later, as I was like, okay, that was the more so reason.
Yeah.
But let me go. I don't know. How about Sam Pico versus Spencer Clausen?
Yeah, you didn't like that one.
No, I think Felicia had a word she had to say on Big Brother 27 quite a few times, and I don't know. I think Sam is decent, whereas I think Spencer fine, and like in that house and in any other house, I think probably actively really bad. Just I never saw a point in which it was impressing me, whereas Sam was up against, probably 4 full-size locomotives running directly at her, but otherwise was halfway okay.
Let me find that vote. Where was who voted for who in
I
that?
feel like I voted for Spencer there.
I think it was a 3-0 if I remember correctly.
No, this was unless my notes are wrong. Amon and I voted for Spencer, and Zach Wertenberger, our guest, voted for Sam. Although Amon might have just said that.
I've always trusted Zach.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, Spencer. I mean, I think what I was just really liked about Spencer was like he was very active in the beginning of the game. And the thought of weaponizing Alyssa's MVP,
Fair.
that was his idea. I just felt like he was a perpetual pawn, but he always had assurance going onto the block that he was going to be fine, and he still worked with this alliance throughout that. He would pivot whenever people were like getting knocked down beside him. I just felt like I mean, he's definitely like not top tier by any means, but I don't know, just something about his story just felt a little bit more rewarding to me than Sam's. And I do love Sam as well. I just feel like we don't really get to see really what she's capable of because she's chopped off at the knees pretty much every which way by the pretty boys.
Okay.
Before I get to some more of yours, can I get you some matchups from recent episodes you most likely haven't seen or heard
All
yet?
right. Give me.
They're matchups specifically that went 2-1. So tells you there was some debate. And I'll tell you the results only if you want them, because everybody else out there listening,
I'm fine with it.
Right now. Okay. So recently we had a 2-1 vote on BB16's DJ Pow Pow versus BB23's Brent Champagne.
Congratulations to whoever they're against in round 2. I think as of right now, I feel like they're both bad, but I could see Pow Pow floating slightly further, where I feel like Brent is always going to make himself an issue.
Well, you would align with the correct side. I think you said you were fine with me telling you what happened. Yes, Paula is the one who went through there. Amon was the one vote for Brent. Just
I'm torn. Honestly, that's one where it wouldn't have come up on my list today of biggest issues.
Good. What about we had an episode with Chelsea where it was Big Brother 17's Jackie versus Big Brother 26's Rubina.
Ooh, okay. I would go Jackie, personally. I watched so many times where it was just T-Core, Chemo, and Rubina had so many opportunities to do something, just anything. And I appreciate that. I actually feel like once T-Core was gone, Rubina maybe stopped relying on her as much and started playing slightly more actively, which maybe like I have to give her a half a point there. But as decent as her social game was, it was just so easy for everyone to throw her up on the block over and over and over, and she really did not do a whole lot actively to better her position. So I think I would go Jackie.
Rubina won with a 2-1 vote from myself and Chelsea. But I will say, sometimes I do have to admit when I think I might have gotten it wrong. And upon reflection, in the days since we've done that podcast, I think I might have gotten that one wrong. I'm not sure.
Poor Jackie. Steve knew. Jackie was the problem.
I will say Jackie's looking like a pretty good possibility to get some votes
Ooh.
in this battle back. It's not been the strongest group of contenders so far, including the same people who get voted out today. All right, let me give you one more, and then I'll see if you have any last ones before we get started. In the very last episode we just recorded with Anthony Douglas, Big Brother Canada legend, we had a matchup of some BBCAN moms. It was BBCAN 2, Sarah Miller, Mumsy.
I love Mumsy.
BBCAN 10, Tanisha.
Okay.
Look at that. I love Mumsy, so we'll see if there's any bias that comes into play there.
I feel like there has to be. Yeah, I feel like Mumsy actually was in a really, really good spot until Canada's HOH came around. And I think that if they were allowed to continue in that power spot, then Mumsy probably finds herself in not too bad of a position. I think she was in a pretty difficult spot once that came along. She felt so absolutely tied to Kenny, whereas if she had separated herself a little bit earlier, and like understandably so, then maybe I would have had more faith, I think. And that's potentially biased, but I just love Mumsy, so I think I would go Mumsy.
Yeah, Mon. Should have voted for Mumsy. Mumsy lost 2-1. I voted for.
It was a close one. That one I went back and forth very, very, very hard on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mon
Their
and
games were
like-
so similar. Their games were very, very
Yeah.
similar, and the way that they went out was very, very similar. Like, I just felt like. I don't know. I just felt like Tanisha was more like, again, what it came down to for me was Tanisha having more of like a gamer's edge, where I feel like with, like you just described, Scally, with Mumsy, she kind of was just like heels in, like she's not going to change her position on who she's rocking with, and there's nothing that she could like. She's just, it wasn't as adaptable of a game. So
I can totally see that. I think they are two people who are probably viewed as like middle of the road, fine players that could actively do much better if playing just a different season.
You have any more on your list?
Again, I feel like this is one that's been talked about, but like Justin BB4 versus Kiki, I only have to say, like, please remember how bad Kiki was. Do not advance her one more
I
time.
forgot. I did.
Yeah, her and Esty just sitting in the room being like, this is amazing. We don't even do anything. Like, oh no.
Oh my god. Oh my god. We became
Another one. Look, if like we like did a detailed like let's go back and like raise our hands with the ones we got wrong, that would be on my list.
Yeah. There's, you know,
you can't always bat 100.
It happens. It happens.
As long as you agree with Davon versus Monty.
Oh, please. Even I will put gameplay on pause for a minute.
All right. Any last ones before we get to the wheel?
You know, do I need to highlight that Kyle Moore BBCAN 9 was robbed against Jessica Graf? No, but here we are. So that'd be about it.
You can bring it up because I know I didn't vote for her.
I did, and I stand by it.
Matt made me do this.
As long as we're not voting for her or her family again, because it seems like there's opportunities to do so sometime soon. So anyway, all right, let's get to this wheel of starting off with every remaining player from Big Brother Canada. There's some legends in here.
I'm very anxious. That's a thing. I feel like going to BBCAN only, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was like, all right, I might miss out on some BBUS people, but I also feel like I am increasing my chances of some BBCAN legends who I would be very invested in if they came up.
Because there's quite a few that have not come up yet.
So without further ado, let's find out who we're going to start with today. Big Brother Canada. There's been a couple seasons we haven't had come up.
Everyone that's left, and we can kind of read the names. That's kind of crazy.
Hey, look, it's an alumni of the Diary Room podcast.
Hey,
Big Brother Canada 11, right? Yeah. Daniel C.
Daniel C. Shout out to Daniel. I hope you're still watching this thing.
Oh no, I was gonna say I thought last episode also started off with someone that's come on, but it's actually someone who we are hoping will come on. A little bit different. So if you know, you know. All right. Well, let's talk about Daniel C. BBCAN 11. BBCAN 11 is not one of the seasons that we are like struggling to get to come up on the wheel. We talked about it 7 episodes ago, but just before I forget, BBCAN 1 and BBCAN 3 have not come up on this podcast in 31 episodes. BBCAN 4.
Well, technically, it came up in a big way when we had Sarah on the show.
Sarah, yes. Well, the players haven't come up.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
BBCAN 4 hasn't come up in 25 episodes. BBCAN, I don't know. The other ones are a little bit less crazy, but we're gonna go to 11. Why not? Get things started here. Amon, we have notes on
I'm kind of glad that the season 12 and 11 are kind of getting out of here because it's just so much harder to talk about them, so I'm not mad about it. Anyway, Daniel Clark, he had a decent social game at times, but has also been accused of being spineless by Kuzi and floating to power. His signature move, ironically, is probably saving Ty with the veto in Whodunit Week when he could have been taken out otherwise.
This feels like a good time to remind everybody that this comes from the BB Wiki, and that sounded so biased. Oh my God. Well, Scally, yeah, as Amon's saying, we don't talk a lot of BBCAN 11, or I guess I should say BBCAN 11. It's hard to get people that watched 11 and 12. It's hard to do.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that 11 and 12 are at least fine seasons, if not actively good, that are just completely harmed by the lack of live feeds. I think Daniel's someone in particular who is probably harmed, in our opinion, of him having not been able to watch on live feeds, because I feel like when you start just going by the big picture, it becomes a lot more difficult to like decide what was good and what was bad and how much was he doing at the time.
Yeah, this is definitely someone who I think we remember very well for the social game. Gets evicted in 3rd place. If he made it to the end, I think easily beats both Ty or Claudia just based on that social game alone. Kuzi and what was the other person's name that they were working with in the Crown? Hold on.
Oh, Annika?
Yeah, Annika
yes.
and Claudia and Jonathan, right?
Yes, I think it was specifically Annika and Kuzi that were like this 3-person alliance.
No, that was the Shady Bunch.
Oh,
the Crown, I think.
My memory being horrible on these seasons. Yeah,
I think I could be wrong. He was definitely in 2 alliances. One of them was the Crown, and one of them was the Shady Bunch, and one of them was just with Annika and Kuzi. I thought that was the Shady Bunch, but I could be wrong. Maybe the Shady Bunch kind of sounds more like it could be more people though. So maybe the Crown was the 3.
I think the Crown might have been the 3 of them. Regardless, he also had this like very interesting relationship with Zach. If we remember that, he like everyone was obviously pushing Zach away. Zach was being a weirdo, but Daniel and Zach found a connection, and there was like some scenes of them working out together, and Daniel like a little bit sticking his neck out for Zach to like, I don't know about like defend him per se, but just kind of be someone that wasn't as anti him as the rest of the house was. So that was, I didn't know what to do with that. I feel like on one hand, I was obviously like a little annoyed because I was like, can't we all just let Zach go? But on the other hand, I was like, okay, if even like this, if this guy can even get like Zach on his side because he's that good socially, I feel like it spoke pretty well to him.
Yeah, and the same thing with Ty as well. I mean, like the little blurb said, using that veto, it's kind of just like it feels like he was determined to have the best social game in the house, even befriending the enemies of the house. Like he was in good terms with everybody. But I think again, when you get to the end game, it's sort of like, yeah, the social game is great, but where is the strategy behind it? Where's the resume? And I feel like it was always going to be a bit of an uphill battle for him towards the end, because so many of of his alliance members were just moving circles around. And not to say that he was never in those conversations, he most certainly was, but he was just never in a position of power to really steer the game in a way that I think benefited him the most. Because even with him making it to the final 3, had he made it to the final 2, he probably still would have lost, even though we love you, Daniel, but I think it's true. So it's just, I think he's one of those people for me that I'm like, okay, you have a really, really, really good understanding of one of the components of this game. Now come in next time again and ramp it up on the strategy side. And I feel like you would just kill the shit out of this.
Yeah.
I also feel
I
like
feel
Scally. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like Daniel did a really good job also having really good relationships with the girly pops, and like knew that these could be some people that like he could work with towards the end, but then unfortunately just found himself in a position where even though that social game was so good, the positioning started worsening and worsening as they could not pull out a competition, unfortunately, and the girly pops kept winning HOH after HOH.
Yeah.
Scally, what do you usually think when we get a cast announced and there's a face on there that people start to say, oh, I recognize this person from playing online reality games, whether it be from specifically 2020 or beyond? You usually like feel optimistic about that person going into a game or not?
I would say it very much depends. I would say that if it's someone that I know that knows them, I'm going to ask for the scouting report. I want to know. Give me the honesty. Like, are they going to be good? And then if it is otherwise just a random person, I'm going to give them like a couple points. Like, okay, they're probably a big fan. They probably have done a ton of strategy here. Now, I am honestly sometimes like a tiny bit worried about a social game, but that was not my worry for Daniel at all here.
Amon, any thoughts on that as someone who's also played some of those games?
Yeah, I played with him. I was excited. I thought that he would do well. He was always so just kind and just a really fun person to talk to. So I was just like, I know he's gonna kill it socially at least, and he did just that. So I was very excited to see him. But obviously, with that being said, it's not all these people that you see playing these games are created equal. Okay, so some of them are going to be absolutely crazy on these shows, while some of them are going to excel.
And I think with the worry of the social game, it's more like that they are going to prioritize the hyper strategy over the social game and like forget that this is a very, very, very long game in which they need to be putting in that time and not just going up to people and telling them this is better for your game, even though we have no relationship.
Yeah. I mean, people that come from those other games played them in usually a night or so. There's some that I think that last like weeks, but I don't really know if the first thing about that. So I could be speaking out of my butt. Anyway, let's get back to the wheel. Let's find Daniel C, an opponent from this very heavy wheel of Big Brother Canada.
The BBCAN wheel.
Up next,
the wheel of BBCAN.
Well, we're going back to BBCAN 6, and I always love to do that with Andrew Miller.
I was like, which Andrew is this?
Yep.
BBCAN 6, second or third vote.
I think he was second, right?
That sounds right, because he went out on Ryan's HOH, and that was pretty freaking early on. So, oh boy, did he get quite the draw. Let's talk about him though.
Oh man, Andrew. All right. Andrew began the game in a position of power, granted the ability to keep half of the house safe. Despite this, he put a target on his back by campaigning to keep Rosina. After one of Andrew's closest allies, Ryan, won HOH, Ryan decided to nominate Andrew and Hamza in an attempt to gain social capital with the rest of the house. Ryan secretly was planning on backdooring Olivia, but the veto wasn't used, and Andrew was evicted by a vote of 10-0.
So, Scally, one of the matchups that wouldn't have made it to your list because it did end up going in the correct decision is from Big Brother Canada 6. The winner, Paris, was in a matchup against Jerry McDonald. And if not for that one patron vote, Jerry would have beat Paris.
Yeah, I do think I told you, please send a thank you card from me. Because I love BBCAN 6. Obviously, there's a big issue or two.
Yes.
But BBCAN 6 was so much fun to watch on the live feeds, and someone who was super active in those first few days on the live feeds was Andrew.
Oh yeah. Amon, you just said it with the Ryan. We were just talking about it. Ryan ends up taking out someone who we're all looking at is, one of his closest allies, if not maybe one of his only allies at that point in the game. I have to imagine Ryan has spent a good amount of time since the season reflecting and maybe wishing that he made a different move. What can you do?
I
But
do feel like he defended the move for quite some time.
Oh, did he? I don't remember that.
I could be wrong, but I do think that he stood by it.
Well, about that.
It was just such a some of these night one powers, man, they really can do you in. People were just looking for any reason to put somebody up or to send somebody packing. And for Rosina, it was the usual, oh, well, she's the older person in the house, let's just get her out. She's not going to win anything. She was cheering for all the girls, so she's clearly going to be a girl's girl, so let's get her out of here. We can't work with her. And then from that, then it became Andrew. And I just remember, I don't really feel like Andrew did too much wrong in who he chose, because how the hell are you going to choose when you've just been in the house for what, like 2 hours? Like, no matter what, you're going to piss somebody off. And I think that he had done a pretty good job of like garnering relationships and building relationships. Like he was good with Hamza. He was good with Erica, who threw him under the bus. Because she was the one that won that veto. One of the things, speaking of the live feeds, I remember it was like right after the feeds came back from the veto ceremony, and she hadn't used it. And Erica is like talking to somebody. I think she was talking to Hamza maybe. And Andrew was just sitting in the back, just like staring her down, like staring holes into her back. Like, I cannot believe you did not use this veto on me. And I was like, I can't believe it either, because y'all are supposed to be tight. But everybody wanted to jump ship. Again, it was just like, we need a target. We need somebody to send home. We need a house target. Let's get them out of here. So, yeah.
I mean, like the definition of, someone who stood out well enough from the beginning of the game, and the whole house is like, yep, none of us want to be the first one out the door, second one out the door. Let's all agree on this one. Pretty easy to do so.
At the same time, to be given the spot to hand out essentially friendship bracelets at the beginning of the season and not really manage to make any relationships using those is pretty tough. And to the point where even the one relationship that we do have ends up being the reason that you go home. I think Andrew was dealt a pretty tough hand because of it. But if anyone else had won HOH, he probably finds himself in a pretty similar position anyway.
Yeah. He stuck around the fandom for a good amount of time after the season. He was podcasting about the show and just speaking on his experience and continuing to comment on future seasons and whatnot. So I feel like, at least we got a little bit more from him, and he got to be a little bit more involved after the season. I think he wanted to be. So at least there was that. But as far as the game is concerned, not a ton for us to really,
I think there is a world in which Andrew goes on a different season and like finds his people. This is not someone who I think is a guaranteed first or second boot every single time by any means. But I don't think we got to see that really play out very well.
Yeah.
Come on, what are you thinking?
Like between the two?
Sure. I also saw a little bit of a smirk, and sometimes I don't know if there's a smirk along with like a what kind of thoughts are in there?
I don't know. I mean,
see, the way that this always goes, and that's why this is so much fun, is Amon knows what answer makes more sense, but he spends every minute of the voting session trying to think of how he could flip it on its head and come up with a way
I just like to make sure I'm considering all angles.
And I think that's what makes it fun.
I think
I'm listening.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and just evict.
We're open.
Andrew.
Our votes haven't been cast yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and evict Andrew, because I do think, I think it's absolutely bonkers that Ryan would nominate him. Like, you don't think you're going to be next? If they made him the pariah, he's one of the older people in the house. So were you, Ryan. I still don't understand why you felt like that was going to get like social capital. Like they're chopping you off. Like they're getting rid of a number for you. That's not Okay. It's like what's his face from BBCAN 12? Like, why are you letting the people that you're afraid of dictate how you? Yes, like it just doesn't make any sense. Like, why do you feel like you're going to be good after that? I just don't get it. So yeah, I think Daniel far and away probably would not have made such a weird decision. So, um, yeah, I think Daniel is just a lot more equipped at this game for sure.
Scally.
For sure.
Yeah. It's unfortunately for Andrew not very close for me. I think in no world does Daniel's ally evict him in week 2. Like many people in the house were loving keeping Andrew around, keeping Daniel around, and probably did longer than they should have at points. But I am going to evict Andrew as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3-0, of course, here for Daniel to go forward. I mean, it's definitely more of the credit to Daniel for the good social game he played, making it as far as he did. Again, think he would have done very well in a jury vote. But for Andrew, I mean, I think there was a lot of maybe a couple more factors going into what was happening with him and the rest of the cast that season. It just felt like right off the bat. Of course, the heaven and hell twist didn't help. But there was just like this like wall between them where the cast were like the rest of the cast wasn't like dying to make a friendship with him or do anything with him. And then he was, as far as I remember, kind of getting a little frustrated in return because no doors were open whatsoever for him to even try to make something happen. And then of course Ryan is putting him on the block. And so it didn't go well. I agree with you, Scally, that I think in many other seasons, something could work, but this was not the cast. This was not the time. It just didn't happen.
I think if I were to guess, let's say Ryan did not win HOH that week, I could see Ryan going home over Andrew. I think Andrew was maybe a little more liked in that house. And then maybe Andrew finds himself, floating around to the mid game like Ryan did. So I don't think this was a guaranteed, he's going to go next week, if not this week. But at the same time, your ally put you up. I can't really do much for you here.
Because that spot that Ryan ends up taking, like Paris tries to pull Ryan in and say like, oh, like, let me give you information and you give me information. And like, let me just have you as a security piece. That easily could have been Paris working with Andrew. And Andrew, I think, especially as we see after the season doing all these podcasts, like has a good mind for the game. He just didn't have any space to activate it. So that could have been fun. Well, unfortunately, the road ends here for Andrew Miller, unless, maybe some battle back love. But let's get back to the wheel for round 2 here. Well, matchup 2, not round 2. Round 2 will be crazy.
Round 2.
Up next today, Scally. Oh, boy.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I'm kind of excited.
You will be the only person in this round to have 2 players at once because the Pax Bros, Nick and Phil, are up for discussion right now. A lot of people asked, are they going to be separate entities on the wheel? Are they not? You might have even asked me that.
I know I asked you. I was like, wait, could they end up against each other? How is this going to work?
No, they went in together. They played together. They won together. They are together.
Yeah.
Come on, what do you got?
Nick and Phil. Right from night 1, the brothers' game was blown up as Arissa told the rest of the house guests that Nick and Phil were brothers and would compete as one house guest, alternating weeks in the comps. Skating into the jury phase, the brothers were only nominated once until finale night, despite their best efforts to nominate themselves, along with winning 3 HOHs and 4 POVs, thus allowing them to win the game over Kelsey by a 7-2 vote.
There's so much to get into here. Not only is this the only time in the history of Big Brother, as far as we know it, within these franchises, that 2 people played as one. These 2 brothers entered the game together, supposedly didn't know that the other one would be there, supposedly, but then they show up and they are one player. These moments, including, as Aman just read out, wanting to nominate themselves, Scally, even still to this day, when we have a bad HOH, a questionable HOH, we're like, are they going to nominate themselves? Because we've seen it before.
Yep.
These 2.
We've seen them try. We've seen it made an attempt. I think Nick and Phil were extremely interesting to watch. I think they had different strengths and were very much able to connect with different people that kept them very safe through a very large majority of the game. I think when you compare them to the other winners, that's when obviously everyone is talking about, like, look at these big dummies. How the hell did they win this game? I think that when you compare them to the entirety of Big Brother Canada, they're not quite as bad as the reputation that they have. I think the problem being they should have been better considering they're two people who are allowed to move freely throughout the house at all times. That is such a major advantage. I have actually seen at least one, if not more, international Big Brother seasons where they have people playing as a duo. I'm thinking specifically of a Big Brother Australia season where they had twins who played together. But in that ruling, they couldn't be more than 5 feet apart from each other, which made it a lot more fair. Very difficult, but they had to be involved in all of the same conversations. They could not like move throughout the house to make sure that they were covering all of their bases. And I think if that's how they were allowed to play, they would have done much worse. But also, it probably would have been a lot more fair in evaluating them.
Do we? I mean, is it a very quick, easy answer for us of which one of the two was the better player? Right? I think Nick.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought Phil had the better start to the season. I think
Mm.
Nick was connecting with a lot of people who were not finding themselves in power and having a tough time there. But I do think that he definitely ended up overtaking Phil by the end.
It's also such an interesting dynamic because they come into the game and like their relationship outside of the game, I believe, had been that they weren't very close. And so they come in the game, they work really well together. They're doing everything that they can and should with, besides trying to nominate themselves, by having the tools that they have in another whole player. I don't know their relationship like post season, but just like the dynamic of them being like, obviously brothers, but like a little not as evil Dick and Danielle, but just like we are not best friends.
Yeah. Which I really enjoyed. I like that dynamic, actually. I feel like it really humanized them for me, which, in a way, it's not to say that siblings that are close with one another are not, as interesting, but it was just more interesting for me as a twin to see people that were like, oh, like, that's my brother, but like, that's not my bestie. Like, he be pissing me off from time to time because like me and Imani went through a lot of phases where it's like, girl, like, I'm not really about you right now. Like, you're really making me upset. So like, I really found it relatable. I don't know, man. BBCAN 4 is, I roll my eyes when I think about this damn season so much. And like, there's like endless debate as to whether or not they should have won over Kelsey. And then there's people that are saying, oh, it's not fair because, they were brothers. But it was like also like, oh, well, it's not fair for Kelsey to win because she was evicted once already. But I was like, okay, but then like when both of the people that got, or both of the entities that got to the final two had major advantages in the game, right? So it's kind of just like, they kind of like level out at that point. And I feel like if you had to go with who was a bit more consistent in their gameplay, yeah, you kind of do have to go for the brothers. I do think that it was very smart of them to sort of have one that was sort of more strategy forward, more conversation forward. The other one was kind of just like a bit of like a social sponge, just sort of just like sitting around, gathering information, not being as vocal in a lot of the strategic conversations. And then just like slowly ramping it up, because the way that they were able to keep that threat level as low as it was for it being two guys in the house, for them to just let them get to the end, for them even to win 5 competitions in the end game.
Yeah.
Like,
they weren't looked at during the middle of the game. The way that they evolved throughout the game, from bouncing from different group to different player to different player, not really intentionally to my memory. It was like Nick had a thing with Maddie. There was at one point that they were talking about Phil had a crush on Nikki Graham. And I don't know if there was
Big
anything
time.
more to that. That was a thing. And then of course, Jared and Kelsey are the showmans. After the season, Phil and Kelsey became a couple and actually dated for a while. And so there were like definitely like signs of Phil and Kelsey being somewhat into each other in the house. Eventually Jared's gone and then Kelsey's still in the house. And, Kelsey's still got Jared in the back of her mind, but she's like flirty a little bit with Nick. So they end up kind of shifting to work with Kelsey, which turns out to be the best thing they could have ever asked for, because they win the game because they're not Kelsey. Kelsey, who's already come up on this podcast and I believe made it to round 2. I don't know how much further she's going to make it, because while she can do a lot of good work in the advocating for herself kind of space, she doesn't make friends very well. She doesn't have a lot of people dying to be her friend in the game in general, so it was just an easy decision for most of the jurors, because they were not going to vote for Kelsey.
Like, you know her life like that? God damn.
Yeah.
In the game.
Okay.
So I don't know. What a history though for these two. We're only 4 seasons into the show and they're like, yeah, we're going to bring in this crazy twist. And it's not even like, it's like, oh, we're bringing back a returning player. It's not Gary is back. Little Gary is back with his brother. It's just
off the street.
Nick and Phil. Like, you couldn't have picked more generic names.
True.
Yeah.
What
Damn,
else?
you just coming for their parents. Jesus.
I don't know. The fact that they weren't nominated till like final 6 is actually wild. And
It's crazy. I just roll my eyes at the season half the time, because I'm just like, how? There's a lot of crazy shit that happens in the season. I'm just like, ugh. But I recently rewatched it maybe 4 months ago or so, and I was like, it's more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Now. But during the time of watching it, I was so annoyed.
I think the complicated relationship between them both probably helped. It's like they can't even figure themselves out, let alone like they're not figuring this house out. Like they can't get their relationship right. I'm not worried about them.
To the point where they tried to nominate themselves.
Yeah, no, we didn't spend enough time on that. We have not. If you're not a Big Brother Canada fan, if you've heard about this, whatever, like, you don't understand.
It was. I still hear Arissa's voice in my head to this day. Whenever I'm making a decision that I know is bad for myself, I hear Arissa's voice say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I was like, you should have just let him do it. Just let him do it.
Exactly. You said it. Too late. We're done.
Should have happened. The backstory there was that Tim was on the block. Cass won the veto. They trusted that Cass wasn't going to take Tim off the block. Even up until the veto ceremony, they were checking in with her. She said she wasn't going to, but a chaos Cass in her own right said, I'm taking my friend Tim off the block and pissing off the brothers. I don't care. She does, and then they need to name a renom, and they tell Arissa that they would like to go up because they were so livid about the decision. They were so baffled. They couldn't believe that for not only Cassandra lied, but now Cassandra and Tim get to be safe, and I have to pick somebody else to go up.
And it's like, you're gonna evict yourselves for Kelsey and Joel. Like, I'm sorry, you're not that close. Why are you doing this?
It was insane. And yes, Arissa's "Are you sure?" Some of us wish it didn't happen because it would have been crazy to see it go down, but it's still overall an iconic moment in Big Brother Canada history, one of many. So Scally, Pax Bros are on the plate for.
I'm excited. I'm so happy. This feels, once in a round. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can make it to round 2 here with who are they going to face off against? Who's going to get quite a matchup of 2-on-1.
It's going to be another legend. I just know it is.
Oh boy.
Another legend? Did we have one or two already?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yep.
Another winner.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just that's something in my bones was just telling me it was going to be something like this. I just knew it.
Woo,
I just knew it.
Oh,
I
boy.
just knew it.
Well,
I'm so happy. Because regardless, I get Bailey.
wow. What are the chances that the battle back winner is in this matchup?
Ooh. I'm not locking it in, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Okay. Bailey, the winner of Big Brother Canada 12 and another alumni of this podcast. Will she join fellow alumni Daniel C. in round 2? Sure hope so. Anyway, Bailey.
Bailey joined Big Sisters and East Coast Alliance at the beginning of the game, Both alliances crumbled in week 2 as she lost her closest ally, Donna. Bailey became a target but maintained her relationship with the women and stayed safe. Bailey worked on her relationship with Anthony, who also had targeted her for the first couple of weeks, while still maintaining her relationship with both Todd and the women. During week 8, Bailey's relationship with Anthony paid off for the second time as Anthony decided to pawn Lexis instead of her in order to backdoor Victoria. Bailey lost Todd at Final 5, but Anthony won the final HOH and considered Bailey as the more beatable player and evicted Lexis. Bailey's more straightforward and honest game and her ability to not be manipulated earned her the win with a 6-1 vote.
Scally, so we know Anthony Douglas is a legend, has done so many incredible moves and things and everything throughout the course of his 2 seasons on the show. Bailey comes along in BBCAN 12, ultimately ends up being the winner, sitting next to Anthony at the end. If that wasn't enough to save Big Brother Canada with the power that Bailey brought into the season, it was doomed at that point, and we'll see what happens next, if anything. But what an impact she made.
God, very true. One of my favorite tweets is from Lavina.
I know.
Something like, I'm watching Big Brother Canada 12 by just checking in every so often to see if the loud blonde lady is still in. And that is largely my investment as well. I loved Bailey. Very early on, I was worried about her basically every day. I was like, Bailey, I don't know what we're doing here. I am questioning the method a little bit, but to watch it continuously work, especially with someone like Anthony in the house, I still struggle to understand how she disarmed him, like as someone who was going head to head with him on a regular basis. I am honestly amazed at all times as to what she was able to pull off, but Bailey was great.
Those head-to-head battles, I will never forget them. And we got them through clips of the live feeds because there's no, or clips of the house because there was no live feeds. I just can't even imagine being just like sitting there watching the feeds on a normal day as one does. And all of a sudden Bailey and Anthony are going off at each other. Ugh. Ugh.
Oh.
I'm already like, okay, as well.
Are you already thinking about the vote?
Yes.
We gotta
Okay,
talk about
well,
Bailey first.
Let me just talk about Bailey first. Yes, I mean,
Yes.
Bailey was quite interesting as a player for sure. I feel like a lot of the things, like you said, Scally, a lot of the things that you would do, you were like, I don't know if that's the best way to. Oh, she's safe. Okay. Like that's kind of what her game was the whole time. And I kind of enjoyed watching her sort of have this very matter-of-fact attitude about her positioning in the game. Being very much aware of like what her status looked like versus what Victoria's status looked like, but still maintaining a level of trust with Victoria as well. Also kind of knowing that there was a little thing with the girls that she was kind of on the outs of as well. It just feels like she was kind of always in a position where her back was against the wall, and maybe that's something that Anthony really enjoyed. Maybe it was sort of like this thing with Anthony where it was like, I don't think that she's that much of a threat because I've already proven that I can have her back into a corner whenever I need to. So if I bring her to the end, all I have to talk about is how I brought her to the end, and no one's going to see it as she brought herself there. Obviously, it was a miscalculation on his part, but a viable strategy for her, was kind of just be like, look, this is where we're at, buddy. Like, I'm trying to win this thing. I'm trying to get to the end. Like, I know that you are too. I'm really not trying to come for you right now. You don't need to come for me. Like, let's just figure out a way to do this together. And like, can we just do that, please? Like, that's it. And that kind of energy worked. So,
yeah,
and I don't think it works for everybody, but it works for her. She found out like a little sweet spot for it.
Yeah, for me, like the biggest thing with her, as far as like giving her credit throughout the entire course of the game, is she ends up in hot water early on. Her and Donna are being looked at as big targets. Donna gets evicted. She's kind of left on her own. I mean, Todd's there as well. And, but the two of them, what can they really do? And the way that she gets pulled in by the rest of the women and they just like worship at the altar of Bailey, like they are all down to throw their games in not like away, but like into the mixer and start over again. So so that they can find a spot for Bailey within their alliance, and so that they can work their game around making sure that Bailey is safe, because she was a big target, but they didn't want her to be, because they trusted her. Victoria and Kayla and Lexus and all of them, they just felt good about her, and they were like, well, why are we actually targeting her if we feel like we can work with her and take away a lot of the other people in the house that we aren't feeling the best about? And her ability to make them all feel comfortable like that, plenty of credit to her. While she kept her relationship with Todd, they make it all the way to the final four, and we get to the final four and we're looking around like, is Bailey winning this game almost no matter what happens? Like, it just was good scenario on good scenario of how the final four was going to shake out. And we didn't know that she would lose. She would beat Anthony. If they were, I don't think we even thought there was a world they sat next to each other. That's why it was so shocking at the finale. But I mean, I could go on and on.
I think the thing with Bailey is almost the fact that she was viewed as so loud that she was going to tell you exactly how she felt, maybe on like more of a day-to-day basis and slightly like game-related frustrations, but she still would have the ability to go in and repair any problems that she set up for herself in terms of relationships, and then also make the move when needed, regardless of her social, connections to people. So I just think Bailey was like endlessly fascinating to watch. I'm so upset that Big Brother Canada was canceled for many reasons, but like largely so that we don't get to watch Bailey again, like so quickly.
Yeah, or just like get her that opportunity to come back in the house for season 13 as the reigning champion, and do that whole thing. Get her and Anthony both back in there, because it was like, of all the, I'm not going to sit here and rank all the final twos, but they're going to be pretty high on my list, if not a firm number one. I just loved my experience watching Bailey. Loved that we got to talk to her on this podcast. She's been pretty involved in the Big Brother community since her win, and I'm voting for Bailey to go through. Sorry, brothers. Bye.
Okay. Now here's my thing. Ligor, you love Bailey.
I do.
Amon, we could do something really funny.
You would have to immediately go to your list and add this to it.
I'm kidding. I'll vote to evict the two Pax Bros. Yeah, this was pretty simple for me.
Get him out of here. Unless there's a patron vote on the Pax Bros and Amon's voting for them.
Ooh.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if there's a vote on the Pax Bros, to be honest, because I feel like like I said, like rewatching
our audience thirsty.
Well, no, I was just rewatching their season. I'm like, they're not terrible. You know what I mean? Like their game was very messy, but it was quite a capable game, and it goes to show that like even by almost nominating yourself, you're able to like recuperate and get your shit together. So I feel like they have a lot of upside, more so than maybe people would remember them for. But with Bailey, it's just she played from a tougher position. She doesn't have a sister on the other side of the house to talk. She also beat a returning player, whereas the last time that we saw a returning player and a newbie in the final two together, the returning player won. So I just think that Bailey's game was just all around just it has much more of an edge. But I did think about it. I was like, hold on, like we love Bailey, but hold on, like are we giving the Pax Bros their due? And I think that we did. So I think I'm comfortable giving it to Bailey here.
They wanted to put themselves on the block, and they would have gone home. At the end of the day, they won the game, and there's plenty of things that we can give them credit to. If they do happen to win this battle back, I think that will make worthwhile conversation of them in the next round. Yeah. They're going to do horrible in the losers bracket, which is a good thing because you don't want to be the biggest loser. All of that, patreon.com/the diary room. If you want to get your battle back votes in every round and your losers brackets in your ears. But yeah, here and now, 4-0 for Bailey. You guys thought you could have made some stuff happen, but no, Bailey has a patron vote. Of course, Bailey has a patron vote.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say is like, there's a world in which the Pax Bros have a patron vote, but I know Bailey has a patron vote.
And shout out to Felipe, who is getting his first vote in here today to get Bailey that secured win. It feels so good to know that once I get my vote out for Bailey, she's already going through. Well, That was crazy. Let's see if we can get even crazier or not. This is going to be the last spin of the day. That's guaranteed. All BB can. The next wheel spin could be anybody, but let's find out if we get another
boy.
winner
I
or
want Nikki Graham.
legend or could happen. Big Brother Canada 2. Heather.
Ooh.
I did
So-
not know that was her last name.
Heather Decksheimer. Why are BBCAN 1 and 3 avoiding us so much?
They're hiding. They're hiding
That
away.
is like, when are we going to get them? Like, come on. It's 32 episodes now since we've last 32. We've been on for 64. That's a lot.
It has been.
There's
It'll
so many big
happen.
names on BBCAN
And-
3's cast. It's crazy.
Look, I love 1 and 3, but 2 is maybe my favorite BBCAN season, so I'm very excited.
It's
Well.
so good. It's so damn good.
We'll say they are doing rather well in this bracket. Mumsy going out was only, I think, the second player to be evicted
Ooh.
from that cast so far. We'll see if Heather goes with Mumsy or with the majority into round 2. Aman, notes on Heather.
Quick notes for Heather. Heather became a fan favorite for her admirable underdog position in the house. Heather's strong friendships with Netta, John, and Adele, and her ability to overcome the odds helped her place 4th. That's it.
Pretty quick notes, as you said. Scally, well, actually, let me just turn right to you. You're a BBCAN 2 boy. Were you a Heather boy?
My favorites were located elsewhere in the house, but I liked Heather. I wasn't pulling for Heather the whole way through. There were definitely situations in which I was looking for her to come out on top, but I would not say that I was standing to the level that I was standing Netta's on this season. You think I'm gonna be a Heather boy through and through?
Yeah, it feels like she was one of those useful means to an end. And that sounds so like dehumanizing, but I just mean like in the sense of like there were stronger and more captivating players that she fortunately was aligned with, right? Whereas like if she were on the other side, she could be a thorn, an annoying thorn in the side, people that you wanted to see succeed in the house. But I think, what people really were drawn to about Heather was that she really was sort of in this position of like, she can make or break somebody's game depending on where she goes, right? And I think that that's always like an interesting spot to be in. But again, the people that she surrounded herself with were just they were just dogs with a bone, man. Like they just were. I just feel like Heather was like not made for BBCAN 2, if that makes sense. Like everybody else was more hungry than she was, and that's the only drawback that I have for Heather. It was nice that she won the HOA. She put up Kenny and Allison. That was cool. Like she was asserting her dominance then and there, and I will give her that. And being a part of the sloppy seconds, but again, I don't really attribute that much to Heather as I do to people like John and Netta, right? So it's I think that she has a space in BBCAN 2. It's just not a very, very big space.
Yeah, the whole reason she ends up getting evicted at Final Four, quote unquote, is because she's a comp threat. I'm refreshing myself because she wins the veto at Final 5. And so it ends up being Adele that goes home there. And so you get down to Sabrina, John, and Netta. Of course, the John and Netta alliance is going to take them both as far as it possibly can. And at that point, if you're not going to turn on each other yet, hoping that maybe the other will still take you to the end, it makes sense that Heather goes out over Sabrina. We both can beat Sabrina type of vibes.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Heather would have been, the biggest jury threat, I guess, in a world where if anybody was mad at a John or a Netta, and Heather was rather inoffensive, then you could see it much more likely than you could see it for Sabrina getting the votes over either of them. But hard to say for sure in my memory.
What's impressive about Heather is she had a really bad start where not a lot of people loved Heather. I think Ika in particular did not love Heather and made it known. So I think Heather attempted to stand up for herself in those moments, but maybe didn't always come out ahead there. But in the end, she ended up making a decent run. I mean, the Neds and Heads alliance was pretty decent. It just ended up being like Netta and John were always going at least to the final 3 together. We thought to the final 2, at least on John's behalf, until the very last second. I think Heather probably could have beaten a couple of people that make the jury phase. Like, I think Heather comes out probably on top against Rochelle, maybe against like Sabrina, but where was she finding herself in the end? Like, I unfortunately think Heather like takes Netta to final 2 if she can.
Yeah, that I think the Heather and Netta relationship grew that week, right? Because of their mutual, I guess, annoyance with Ica or distaste or whatever you want to put in there. And she almost gets evicted there. She's up against Pop and Paul Jackson on the block, and he ends up with 6 out of 10 votes. She had 4 of them.
I think it was because Netta and Ica were also pretty good at that point, but then Netta was trying to distance herself from Ica, and how better to distance yourself from Ica than to jump over to Heather.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just remember feeling like Heather was just such a delicate flower in the midst of all these like barbed vines of people in that house. Like, just crazy.
Yeah. Keep making some small talk about Heather while I set up the wheel with more names on it than ever before, kind of. In a long
kind
time.
of. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Like everybody left. Okay.
Everybody left.
What else was there to say about Heather? I mean,
she get a celebrity here. Oh, yeah.
She I do want to believe that she beat Sabrina. I do want to believe that.
I think so too.
But again, like you said, I don't know how that even happens. It would mean that Sabrina would have to have won and then to have taken Heather, just not knowing for a fact that she's not going to beat Netta. And that would have been a crazy ending.
I think that like Netta and John would have had to be like medically evacuated.
Yeah,
for that to happen.
Some crazy shit. Yeah.
And even then, Arissa's asking the medics, like, "Are you sure you need to take them?" All right. Well, let's find out who Heather's going to be up against. Are we ready for this massive wheel? Oh my
God!
There they are. Everybody,
look at that thick old wheel.
Everybody that's left. I know we feel like we're deep into this round.
Still kind of read them all a little bit.
Like that's still a lot of people we got to get through. That's a lot.
It is.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people.
Scally, are you ready for your final spin today?
I'm very anxious, but I am ready.
Currently, the wheel's in a blank spot, so hopefully it doesn't land there. I don't know that you can see it, but about 5 spins above.
That in there.
Oh.
That blank spot represents all of the people that were originally cast and then never made it to the house.
I was going to say guest choice. No, 5 spots above this blank space. I don't know that you can see it very well. Holly King.
Oh my God. You know Lavina's threats about Chris Kirkpatrick?
Wait, hold on. Amon just said who?
Remember Lavina's threats about Kirkpatrick? Yeah. Times by a million. Make them worse.
Are we ready? Let's do it. Last player of the day here. Doesn't have to be from Big Brother Canada. Could be anybody. Maybe it'll still be BBCAN. It's going to be, oh my God. No, that's so funny.
Wow.
Okay. It's still BBCAN, but you guys can't see the names, can you?
No, not really. Well.
Scally, you just said this person's name. I don't think I can zoom in, can I? No. Chris Kirkpatrick is the next name.
Oh. Yeah, y'all would have never heard the end of it.
A smidge away from Chris Kirkpatrick.
Sorry, Lavina.
Instead, we are here in an oops all BBCAN wheel. We tried, but the numbers right now might just be in BBCAN's favor. Let's talk about Joel.
Joel quickly aligned with Cassandra and Levita. After Joel and Mitch Moffat, why is Mitch Moffat? Some people have their last name.
That's his name.
After Joel and Mitch won the HOH comp, they staged a fake contest where they allowed Joel to win HOH. Joel sought out to break up the third wheel alliance that was running the house and evicted Kelsey. With allies Levita, Dallas, and Mitch being eliminated, he aligned with the Freak Show and Nikki. The alliance's downfall came when Kelsey won HOH at the final 5. Originally, Kelsey targeted Cassandra and Tim, but Joel was nominated as a replacement, and he was evicted by a vote of 2-0 due to Tim and Cassandra's strong influence on Kelsey and the others.
Well, no
Interesting.
BBCAN 1 and 3, but season 4 hasn't come up in a while either, and so we get 2 of them today. 3 of them actually.
Oh.
Joel made it pretty deep, 5th place, and a part of that legendary Freak Show alliance that Amon was just talking about. But Scally, quite a different journey for Joel versus Cassandra and Tim throughout that game.
Yeah, Joel has like actually an underrated number of relationships in this house. Like I'm thinking of Joel and Cassandra, I'm thinking of Joel and Nikki. Like Nikki loved Joel, then like found him very endearing. But at the same time, I don't know that everyone else was loving Joel at every times. I feel like it was occasionally a difficult road.
Yeah, I'm sure this was in the blurb as I was looking elsewhere, but just the relationship between him and Mitch right away, where Mitch is like, "Oh yeah, I can use this guy to help me in the game. No one's gonna see us working together." Don't you love that line in Big Brother? But just two smart people that know the game well, and are trying to navigate around a Tim Dormer and everything else that popped up along the way. And then going all the way down to the end of the game, he gets so screwed. Not in the sense that like something happened to him that was unfair, but just like the reason that he goes out at Final Five with Cassandra and Kelsey coming together in like the final hour, using that friendship that formed between those two to just find a way to keep Cassandra alive. Like that doesn't usually happen. That never happens.
Well, didn't he also shoot himself in the foot with Cassandra and Tim at some point because he helped one of the brothers win a veto or something like that?
I don't remember.
Or am I confusing my with a different?
I feel like they
scenario?
gaslighted him a lot to make him seem like he did something wrong. I don't remember how
Bad
much he
idea.
actually did.
They
wrong.
definitely did a lot of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, then I guess I can't really blame him for if he did help. If he did help one of the brothers over Tim, and I was like, well, bitch, y'all were pushing him away. Yeah, Joel. I feel like I think he had a lot more. He had a lot better of a social game than I think even the audience maybe was going to give him credit for, because he was kind of like packaged as like the nerd of the season. Even though I think he's credited as an actor on the season, right? Like he's like in musical theater or whatever.
Yeah.
So I always enjoyed watching him sort of like go back and forth, talk to this person, talk to this person, talk to this person, and try to like get in good and see where this person's head's at. And just sort of like kind of like stay above the fray of what was going on, for the most part. But I do think that kind of leads you into a position where at the end of it, again, you're sort of easily disposable. But again, his survivability, I think, is a lot better than some of the more gifted players in his season. So I think that's got to show for something.
I feel like these players are not too dissimilar in the sense of the role they fill in the game, of like, you're not really caring much about a Heather or a Joel, but the smarter players are going to pick up on them and try to pick them up and use their spot of just kind of like not super involved in this alliance, that side of the target, that, and try to pull them in. And so that's really what Cassandra did, especially once Mitch is gone. It's just he does fumble at the end of the game, besides the fact that Cassandra pulls this whole thing. Well, with that, he like didn't see it happening, Cassandra and Tim turning on him. So I think he was like targeting Kelsey and the Pax Bros, like making them the enemy, as if that was going to help him stay when they were the ones that would have been able to keep him in the house at that point. So a bit of a misplay at Final Five on top of everybody kind of running him over. Don't know that he wins in any Final Two scenario, maybe against Kelsey, but I don't know that Final Two ever happens. So interesting circumstance. It's just like, how much of the game could we ever really give him, I don't know, or Heather credit for saying that like they had their game in the palm of their hands, like they were controlling things rather than other people kind of moving them around their personal chessboard.
This is a hard matchup. I'm going back and forth where I am looking at Heather bringing Netta to the end of the game, and that's bad. That's really bad. And also being in trouble at the beginning of the game. But at the same time, I think Heather will play a little more self-interested than Joel in most scenarios. And actively play. I don't know. Joel better than I initially thought, but I am torn.
I think for Joel, I think like unfortunately just did come across a little bit more of like the people had a hard time connecting with him. For whatever reason, like the barrier that between him and a lot of the other people, like for the people that could get through, again, they utilized him and his vote and his allyship well when they could. But I don't know how much he was ever going to like get his grasp on those people in return and move them where he wanted them to. Heather, I don't think did a whole lot of that either, but I might have more faith in her to do so.
That's what it is. I'm looking at Joel having played on season 4 for me is such a what the hell is this cast? Like I really question how many of these people do super well on a return that even like made it far in the game. And where I'm looking at the people who made the end game of BBCAN 2 or even the middle game being pretty strong players. And so I think Heather being able to hold at least her own there like bodes well for me. Whereas I think Joel's game on BBCAN 4 was maybe better than Heather's on BBCAN 2.
Is that your vote?
I don't know. Because I'm so between what did we see versus what would I estimate for the next game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Heather was in like a really tough spot in the beginning. Whereas I feel like with Joel, even though he didn't necessarily have the strong, like I don't think he had a real he had very little strong relationships in the house, but he had a lot of good enough relationships in the house.
Yeah.
And a lot of those relationships were like in multiple alliances, so I feel like he was kind of covered on all bases, and he kind of just like maintained this oh, well, that's just Joel type of image throughout the entire game. Whereas with Heather, like she had active enemies. How much of it is her fault? That's you guys can debate that, but Heather does have some comp wins.
Yeah.
Joel had a win too. It was a little bit of more of a Mitch HOH than Joel's HOH, but they worked well together on it. It was kind of like Mitch pointing Joel in the direction he wanted him to and taking out Kelsey. But I don't know.
Then Heather kind of did the same thing with.
I'll vote first. I seem to feel the most confident. I know which way I'm going, and you guys look
Please.
a little indecisive. I'm voting for Heather. I like Joel just fine, but like I said, I just feel like in any season, I just have a little bit more faith in Heather to be more actively involved in making decisions for her own game. That even if like somebody tries to pull her in, if she doesn't agree with their route, maybe she'll make her own route. Like I don't know how much of that we saw, but just like this is kind of coming down to vibes of what we think we could get out of them if they were given more room to play their own game. Heather, especially, I feel like a lot of people wrote her off very early on. And I guess granted, that was a pretty fluid season that she could have found her way back in and didn't. So maybe that's why she's hard to see as a round 2 candidate, but I'm still going to vote for her.
I mean, I guess, yeah, what it'll come down to for me is just like, I think that they both play very similar games, very similar, like both fourth place. Is that correct?
4th and 5th.
Fourth
and
and
fifth.
Yeah.
So how do they go out? And I don't think that Heather doesn't go out because she doesn't have good relationships with the people that are remaining in the house. It's just that the other people have strong relationships. Whereas with Joel, I feel like it's like you like your relationships are fine with Tim and Cassandra, but not really. Like it's they made up this whole thing to get your ass up out of there. So I'm just like, at the end of the day, like, and how does that speak to a jury at the end of the day? Like, how many votes are you really going to get? Now, obviously, you can say the same thing about Heather. Is like, how does she even get the win in the end unless she takes Sabrina? And the likelihood of that happening is like a snowball chance in hell. But I just think that her overall package is stronger
Yeah.
going into the end, so I think I'll just give it to Heather.
I am leaning the same in looking at a couple things. I think Heather coming in at 23 versus Joel at 33. I'm thinking about
He
if
was
they were
33.
to,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So if they were to go in now, I think Heather could improve. And I don't know if I see Joel improving, unfortunately. I think probably makes some similar mistakes as much as I think maybe there was like a little bit more there in BBCAN 4. I think I don't see that working out the same way every time, and I think it's a weaker cast. So I'm gonna go Heather.
3-0 for Heather. It's actually 4-0 for Heather. We
Wow.
have a patron vote for legend Heather Decksheimer. I've said her
Oh,
last name now
wow.
twice in my life. Yeah, so shout out to Max with a patron vote on Heather. I don't know if this was so I don't want to speak for Max, but whether this was like, no, I wanted to place a vote for Heather. A lot of patrons will send in their vote and then they have to like go down and down and down and down the
Sure.
list because either other people are already voted for, people have already come up. So I feel like if that was the reason that we got to Heather, I don't remember, there's plenty of those players out there. So again, if you're looking to cast your vote,
And
patreon.com/the diary room.
you know what? There's not one for Joel. So
Actually, no, there's
oh.
not.
I was like,
4-0 vote for Heather is
Huh.
going to close things out today. So let's recap real quick. Heather from Big Brother Canada 2 just moved on to the next round. Joel, BBCAN 4, has been evicted. A battle of the winners in the middle of this podcast. Bailey, the winner of BBCAN 12, took down Nick and Phil. Just as she took on the Titan of Anthony Douglas, she took on two guys at once that won the game. Her power. And then we also had at the beginning of the episode, Daniel C. from BBCAN 11 advanced over Andrew Miller from BBCAN 6. Scally, you talked about BBCAN 2 being a personal favorite of yours. It is killing it in this competition. Heather is the 8th player to go through. Only 2, again, have not gone through so far. 8-2. What a record.
yeah. As I said, I think this is a much stronger cast than BBCAN 4 to the point where I'm watching BBCAN 4 and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, as much as I'm rooting for some people here, Nikki Graham is literally one of my favorite reality TV people of all time. I love her so much. But at the same time, I was like, sure, I guess this is what we're watching.
Yeah, even she couldn't save that shit.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got the Tim Dormer experience. I mean, and Nikki, but just like to watch that chaos the entire season and then meet Cassandra as well. I had fun.
Yeah, I will say if anyone has extra time, both of their original seasons, like BB UK and BBAU respectively, are phenomenal. They're super fun to watch. But yeah, I'm glad that more people got to experience them.
Yeah. So there's that. Aman, you good with today's results?
Yeah, I'm god darn snippy.
Gosh darn snippy. That's exactly what I was gonna say. All right. Well, then I think we're about ready to wrap up here. Scally, besides the Free Agents podcast, where you and I are talking the challenge all year round, rewatch season 41, all that good stuff. People should obviously be checking that out. Love Island.
Yes, myself and Kirsten have been covering Love Island, what feels like for, many, many seasons in a row, like back to back to back. If we are not already, we will soon be talking about Love Island games. So make sure to check that out when it comes on. And then otherwise, anything I'm doing is on Twitter at Brian_Scally, on Blue Sky at Brian Scally, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/bscally.
If anybody out there, if you also have some disagreements with the decisions that we make around here, just pop into Scally's Twitch chat at any point, and bring them up in discussion, and you'll get your more further discussion on Scally's opinions of them.
We can talk.
Yeah, so it's a fun place to go. And Aman is here all summer long and all year long. And anything else pertinent?
That's it. I'm just here.
Well, hopefully, again, by the time this comes out, maybe your schedule is a little lighter. Pop in on some other stuff, but we'll see. So that's going to do it for today. One more time, patreon.com/the diary room. If you want to get all the losers brackets, get your votes in for the battle back results shows. Otherwise, Aman, let's go.
Yes. Our thanks to Brian Scally for joining us once again. And until next time, guys, please go to the diary room.